Shout out to Game Over 30. I was scrolling on Twitter and I saw this tweet of his. It says, saw the clip, the IGN clip bouncing around where a former Xbox guy who did time all over the industry talked about the economics behind Game Pass and how he doesn't understand how it would work on the business side. He goes on to describe how the economics are challenged because of the black hole games and the shrinking base of people that will pitch in an all-you-can-eat gaming service. Do I really have to say this next thing? Yes, I guess I do. That's the exact same issue impacting the entire games industry right now. That has nothing to do with Game Pass. Those service games are damaging traditional sales across the entire business, not to mention the massive saturation of games that already exists. See, this thing is a problem for gaming. I think a lot of people underestimate how damaging the, saturation of games looks. Guys, we were just talking about, the number of games launched on Steam. They were about 9,000 the other day or 8,000 the other day. And within 2 months, 2 more 1,000+ games have already been added. When you look at the Piscatella 15, at any given time that you take a look at it, what do you see? You see that Mr. Matt Piscatella points that the top 15 games are the games that constantly, eat time and eat attention from people. If a person does not want to pay for Game Pass, all their time is absorbed by black hole games. That doesn't mean they are going to buy 2 to 3 AAA $80 releases instead. It's the exact same issue. Whether a person uses Game Pass or not, every corner of the industry is dealing with this issue from indie to AAA. What are we even doing here? Why do people look at Game Pass, assume the model doesn't work financially because of extreme factors, and then pretend those extreme factors don't stop people from buying games a traditional way? Game Pass has its own financial challenges, but it's not what people think. If there is a challenge with Game Pass, it's balancing inflows with outflows and attribution. Microsoft isn't forcing anyone to use Game Pass. It's not the Netflix of games. Just stop. So I tracked down the clip. IGN.com, their Unlocked 700 interview, and I wanted to hear what this exec said about Game Pass. So he is asked a question about it in this particular clip here, and he gives his response. I want to hear it for myself. In fact, I found it and I clicked pause, fired up video. Let's go.
I think. Sorry, please.
I don't know. With that, the idea that you were kind of pioneering a lot of these back-end systems and discoverability and all that, and I think that has me curious about your thoughts on Game Pass. I mean, we for a long time we've heralded Game Pass as like one of the best ways to find games that you wouldn't have played otherwise. And then there's a lot of, as time goes on, there's a lot of questions about, is it good for developers? It is good for some, not others, and there's complications behind the scenes that people aren't privy to. But I guess I'm curious how you feel about Game Pass, having actually done these kinds of things for Xbox in the past.
Yeah, I don't know many developers that have actually claimed that Game Pass isn't good for them in good faith. You remember the Weird West developer, right? One of the reasons that I was surprised at his claim is because that's a developer that gave his game away for free via Amazon's Prime Gaming program. That was a few years ago, after the game launched with Game Pass. So it seems like he wasn't aware of what he was signing up for. He wanted security, and he wanted his game to sell, but he didn't market his game. And then he gave his game away for free, while other developers right now constantly keep adding more to their games and talking about their games, right? High on Life developers put it on Game Pass twice. Freaking No Man's Sky developers, Sean Murray, everyone's begging him to take money, but he doesn't want to take money because he feels, I don't know. Anyways, let me listen to his answer here.
I mean, I've made my career about sort of running games businesses and looking at P&Ls and profit loss statements and thinking about profitability and things like that. I'm of two minds on Game Pass. I have a consumer perspective and I have a business perspective. Yeah. As a consumer, I adore Game Pass. It is a phenomenal value proposition. It's convenient. It enables me to sample content, which again, I'm time constrained. I have a wife and a family.
And by the way, guys and girls, that's actually all that matters from this side of the business. The only person that needs to be having sleep lost over Game Pass is not the journalists that are asking those questions about that, right? It's not the indie developers that are whining about Game Pass when there's an industry of saturated games and there are black hole games, which is funny because what was weird is that Weird West developer guy, he got a comment from one of the former VPs of business something with Epic Games. And they were like, hey, what's up, man? They actually were cordial. And I was laughing going, man, this guy's former company makes the game that bodies every single video game. And here you are whining about Game Pass. I just thought that was interesting. And again, like I said, the business part should only be keeping a few people up at night, which are the people that are handling the business and are responsible, right, for the business's wins or losses.
And I don't have a lot of time to play games, so it allows me to kind of dip in and try things before I decide to invest 70, 80 hours, 100 hours in an Avowed or in a South of Midnight or something. I'm able to try. So I love it as a consumer. As a business person, I have questions. I've spent a lot of time modeling Game Pass and things like it for better part of 15 years. Yeah. And this idea is not a new idea. This concept of an all-you-can-eat AAA gaming subscription has been tried. It's been tried. I mean, we tried it back at Activision. EA's had a program. Ubisoft's had a program. This is not a new idea.
Which is interesting that he's one of the first people answering about this Game Pass thing from the context of other subscription models that have been in existence as well for the last number of years.
I think it's a bold bet trying to like aggregate a ton of AAA content through acquisition and then force it into like being the Netflix of games.
It is not like Netflix. It's not. What? If it's a colloquialism, I can see, okay, yeah, sure. But from what everybody understands, Netflix does not make you buy or provide you the option to buy movies or TV shows or content you can only watch on Netflix. Does that make sense? That's all you do. What is Netflix? It's a streaming service that offers a wide variety of award-winning TV and movie and anime, shows and more on thousands of internet-connected devices. You can watch as much as you want whenever you want, all for one low monthly price. There's always something new to discover with TV shows, right? Can you buy content on Netflix? This person said, yes, it's called piracy. You can't. You cannot. You cannot. But on Game Pass, you can buy the game if you choose to not. It literally is side by side. Install if you have Game Pass or buy. And the thought that people will not buy games via Game Pass via Xbox's store because they have Game Pass is also weird, as I have found myself buying games on the darn freaking thing. And this is a new feature they added to their app anyways, which is the game history feature. So you can just go back to your most recently played games, click and then fire up.
But I certainly think that Live Anywhere or Xbox Anywhere helps, because accessibility is a key to that success. From going from a niche thing to a broad thing, you have to have accessibility, right? You have to have surface areas, head units, having devices where you can play everywhere people are. So I think it's the right strategy on paper. I just question whether or not the economics work long-term for the development and publishing community as the industry is today. We have
So what does that mean for the development and publishing community of who? I'm just curious. Because when you kind of think about this whole talk about the development and publishing community, the development and publishing community is in debt in these last few years to its gamers for not bringing pristine content and chasing market trends. A game like Suicide Squad killed the Justice League. Did Game Pass cause that game to have any negative effect? A game like Wonder Woman, is that a Game Pass's problem? A game like The Initiative's Perfect Dark, is that a Game Pass problem? That's a management problem, right? So this talk about the broader space, no one is saying it about Ubisoft. Ubisoft just logged 5 million players of Assassin's Creed Shadows. What does that mean for the broader gaming industry? Nothing. Gamers are going to play what gamers are going to play. Roblox has more monthly active users than Steam. Roblox. That's not the I don't know how, I don't see how everyone is wondering. Well, we wonder how it is, Like, there's nothing to wonder, in my opinion anyways, when you're seeing other factors like TikTok, according to Matthew Ball, I can't remember his name, the one who did the 200-page analysis on the gaming industry last year, where he talked about things like TikTok, social media, and all these other factors that account for people's time.
The rising cost of development. We have problems with user acquisition. We have, as Matt Piscatella at Circana or others will tell you, half of the available gaming minutes today are spent on 10 franchises that are all well-established live service games.
That alone is your smoking gun. I'm so surprised. This is why I said he's one of the few that I've seen answer the questions from the perspective of actually pulling in the broader gaming industry and the challenges. If half of the playtime are spent on 10 franchises, while, listen to me, thousands of games are launched every month, or at least 1,000 games are launched every month, right? Then you already have a significant problem with saturation and a lack of players. Check this out. On average, let me just go ahead and ask an AI model on average what this looks like. So what does this look like on average in terms of game release cadence and market saturation? I like doing this stuff because, I want to see if this is a model that can collate data faster than I can. Consistent daily releases. Steam sees dozens of games launched every single day, with spikes during the sales and holiday season. Year-over-year growth. Market saturation, high volume, low visibility. Revenue concentration. A small percentage of games dominate sales and player counts, while majority earn little to no revenue. Tag inflation. Developers often use popular tags like multiplayer, survival, to boost discoverability, which can dilute their meaning and make it harder for players to find truly relevant games. What does this mean for developers? Standing out requires strong marketing, unique gameplay hooks, and often external community building, Discord, TikTok. This is not a Game Pass problem. This is a saturation problem. And believe you me, Steam is the benefactor of this kind of a saturation problem itself. They're not making a lot of games, and part of some of the games they're making are part of the time suck. Dota, CSGO, while they have a platform that allows a lot more launches, and so even if you're small, even if you only sell a measly penny, Steam gets to keep 30% of that measly penny. They're the sleeper, money suck of the gaming industry, and the sleeper time suck and the sleeper saturation point of the gaming industry that nobody even talks about.
You take out the Roblox and the Fortnites and the Apex Legends and all that. That's 50% of minutes gone. So you're talking about half the available minutes left, and cost of development, cost of marketing in the hundreds of millions of dollars, trying to make money as a piece of an all-you-can-eat hardcore subscription. I don't know how it works. I mean, unless you have 500 million subscribers and you're able to make thinner margin times more people.
Hold on. It's interesting that he said that, because, again, part of that piece of the pie, Xbox now owns. I think a lot of people are so... This is what makes Xbox's business, and I'm surprised, though. I would think that Xbox's business will be very apparent to a lot of people, especially when it comes down to, these burning questions. Think about it. You got Roblox, right? With a lot of monthly active users and all of that stuff. But you also have Call of Duty with a lot of monthly active users, and that belongs to Xbox themselves. So I'm quite surprised that everyone is focusing on Game Pass as part of Xbox's overall business, while they're missing out on their MAU strategy, where they have Call of Duty as a platform. Call of Duty is a platform. Roblox is a platform. They have their console, which is a platform. Series X and S. Right? They have their PC, which is a platform, and they are continuing to, in a sense, merge these two together in a fun and exciting way. They have Minecraft, which is also part of the big, huge, which is just kind of a weird, scattered. What Minecraft, I think, needed was a unification in some sense. But hey, scattered as it may be, it's part of that Piscatella top 15. It's part of the time suck in the gaming industry. They have Overwatch, which I'm sure they're going to basically make a platform too, because it's one of those. They got WoW, because they bought Activision Blizzard King. I don't know how many people are missing on all of this, that when you actually look at Game Pass, right, it should basically be buried in all of this in terms of quantity and volume. It is a heavy hitter, projected to possibly do $5 billion. But when you diversify your business and your entire business is not predicated on one game release, right? Or hardware that is failing and outdated after, a number of years, and you now have to keep either pumping it with new AI technology and all this stuff so that gamers could do what with them? Play Fortnite with? Your business is basically secured for a broader, sustainability within the market. That's what it is that that's what they've been able to accomplish with Xbox's business. Are you surprised? I mean, is this surprising to anybody? When they say, I don't just see the way the business of Game Pass works, all Game Pass needs is to be able to drive revenue and drive profits of just a humble 1 month of Game Pass intake of revenue. What I mean by that is Game Pass is making about $200-400 million a month in revenue. It just needs to convert 1 or 2 of those months into full profit. And that's all it needs. PlayStation needs about $313 million to drive 1% of their profit margin increase, according to an AI model that I basically, put together. If Xbox is able to capitalize on just making that kind of money, that's all Game Pass needs as it slowly grows and builds as a piece of Xbox's overall ecosystem. To isolate Game Pass is a critical error in Xbox's overall business plan. So I think Xbox actually understands their business plan. And those of us that are looking at their entire business plan, we get it, because we're like, okay, look at all these avenues of income that if one, it's more like a fail safe, if anything else.
and scale it. But then you're faced with a problem of I don't know if there are 500 million people that are ever going to subscribe to something like this. It's not net.
They have 500 monthly active users, but whether or not they all subscribe to Game Pass it doesn't bother them. As long as those 500 monthly active users are in the Xbox ecosystem and spending via other means, that stays and keeps Xbox profitable. Because as you're worried about the 500 subscribers that Game Pass doesn't have, those 500 MAUs are doing other things and engaging in Xbox's ecosystem and spending money. For instance, if one of those MAU persons buys a copy of Tony Hawk for $50 in one given month, $25 of that is potential profit after costs because it's all their game. That $25 that you weren't looking at because you were worried about the Game Pass subscriber has gone into Xbox's pockets. I just don't understand. I'm quite surprised, to be honest with y'all.
Netflix. It's not your grandma. It's a gamer, right? It's different. So I don't know. I would love. I'm rooting Phil on and the crew.
Well, I'm glad he said he doesn't know. But he has his doubts. But again, look at what Phil has done with the Xbox business. Look at how he has hedged the business against this very shaky gaming industry that has basically, in a sense, plagued itself with its own weight and excess. Xbox Game Studios and Microsoft Studios and Microsoft Gaming is all over the place, sitting on every avenue, ready to capitalize on money making day in, day out. This is not a challenge for them, because all of you are looking at their 34 million Game Pass subscribers and not paying attention to their 500 monthly active users. That's the number you should be scared of, because it's a drop in the bucket. If those 500 million monthly active users can just stay in Xbox, have children who stay with Xbox in Xbox, and children's children, and if that monthly active user base grows and doubles and Game Pass stays at 34 million, you have still created a juggernaut out of the Microsoft's gaming business. Wow. This is impressive, ladies and gentlemen. That everyone is still asking these questions. But how about Game Pass? How can everyone be so fixated on such a small piece of Microsoft's business when the numbers are saying it themselves? Think about this. Let's put it in a calculator. 34 million, right? 34 million out of 500 million. That is 6% in terms of their monthly active users. 7% if we wanted to give it to you. And everyone is so fixated on this stuff. Man, I don't know, bro.
I would love Game Pass to be ultimately this amazing thing. I think, honestly, and just a full circle on the conversation, I think the key here may be the industry coming back around to smaller games and mid-sized games with moderated budgets and moderated marketing campaigns. Now, if the industry moved more in that direction and you had a larger quantity of smaller games, the marginal economics work for a Game Pass with that type of content, whereas it breaks and falls over with a $400 million release.
I agree. And I think once this whole, school of expensive AAA games have been dumped on Game Pass, I think that's where we're probably going to see the opportunity. Obsidian is leading the way with this, trying to launch 3 games in 1 year because they already have a lot of their bases covered. And I think every studio is more than likely going to be seeing this. Now, yes, there'll probably be the one big game and such, but with franchises that are already established.
So maybe if the industry shifts more in that direction, Game Pass becomes more viable as a business.
It's viable as a business right now. Yes, if it continues to go that route with these expensive games, which already Game Pass is not only made up of these expensive games. That's the beauty of it. And it's also made up of third-party games that have already gone out there to try to sell. That's the beauty of it. If we look at Game Pass's releases this year, it was a combination of big, small, humble, old hitters everywhere. I think a lot of people have forgotten the Sniper Elite game and the Atom Fall game that were from the same publisher, Kepler. I think, was it Kepler? I don't know. Expedition 33, I think that was Kepler, the publisher. Right? People are forgetting games like Gears of War Reloaded. That's revamping and getting the PlayStation user base in there. There's so much a lot of people are not necessarily taking into account. Guys, I got to say, you cannot look at Xbox's business from one proxy. You will miss the mark in many cases.
You're leading me right into what I wanted to talk about, going with Game Pass and talking about the industry and just where we are currently. So I'll just say this about Game Pass before I ask the question. I'm with you. From a consumer standpoint, I say it all the time, best value in gaming. I love it. My kids use it. It is freaking great. I just think, and obviously there's been certain talk the past couple weeks about it. I just look at it this way. If it is working, keep doing it. If it is not, if it is hurting gaming outside of Xbox, I'm not for it. I think it should go away at that point. But to your point,
I don't think it is, though. Everybody is making conscious decisions to secure themselves where it is that they need to be. Like as a developer, why would I want to go to Game Pass if I had a feeling it was going to hurt me? I won't. Ubisoft and EA are both in a position where they have their subscription services. And EA is a big player in the Piscatella 15. EA Play. If I get EA Play, what do I get? Full access. I not only get full access, I get full access to the games that eat a lot of the playtime. This is actually scary as well. So I don't know. I mean,
no one seems to know. And obviously they are doubling and tripling down on Game Pass with this initiative. I do think to the point, Play Anywhere and having it available on more devices probably helps, than it hurts. So we'll obviously see here over the next few years. But to the
very interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff. I'll leave the link in the description below. The video's already gone to like 27 minutes. Thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate your time and audience. Peace out.